How sweetness is secretly harming your health. It's not fat making you sick. The bitter truth about sugar. If you ever wondered why sugar has such a bad reputation or how it might quietly sabotaging your health, stay with me. This is the wake-up call we all need. Let's start simple. What exactly is sugar? Chemically, sugar is a simple carbohydrate. The basic units are monosaccharides like glucose, fructose, and galactose. When these combine, they form disaccharide like sucrose, lactose, and maltose. Table sugar is a sucrose, half glucose, half fructose. Fructose is found naturally in fruits, but when isolated and added to processed foods, it becomes harmful. Let's clear up a major misconception. Sugar is not just in candy and desserts. It's hiding in your pantry, your fridge, and your so-called healthy foods. Ketchup, up to 1 teaspoon of sugar in a single tablespoon. Low-fat yogurt, often packed with 20 plus grams of added sugar per serving. Whole wheat bread may have 3 to 5 grams of added sugar per slice. Even savory like pasta sauce, salad dressing, and crackers sneak it in. Why? Because food companies know sugar keeps you coming back for more. It's not just about flavor, it's about addiction. Over 70% of packaged foods sold in US grocery stores contain added sugar. Even natural, organic, or no high fructose corn syrup labels can be misleading. Now here's the real trick. Sugar rarely goes by its real name on food labels. There are over 60 different names for sugar, each designed to fly under your radar. You might think a product has just a little sugar, but when you see 3 or 4 of these aliases scattered across the label, it adds up fast. Here's a simple rule of thumb. If it ends in oats or syrup, it's probably sugar. And if it's added to a food that isn't naturally sweet, that's your red flag. Reading labels isn't optional anymore. It's an act of self-defense. Many health foods contain more sugar than a glazed donut. They just come in smaller, sneakier packages with healthier branding. Sugar isn't just in the obvious stuff. To protect your health, don't just avoid sweets, avoid being fooled. Sugar is sneaky, but once you know where it's hiding, you take back control. Not all sugar is created equal. The problem isn't just how much sugar we eat, it's how we consume it. Let's compare 3 everyday items: a whole apple, a glass of apple juice, and a glass of soda. Notice something surprising? The apple has the least sugar, but more importantly, it comes with fiber, antioxidants, and nutrients that help slow absorptions and protect your cells. Apple juice and soda, no fiber, no nutrient, just straight sugar. And your body gets hit with it all at once. When you eat sugar in its natural form, like in fruits, your body processes it slowly. The fiber acts like a brake pedal for your blood sugar. But with added sugar, there's no brake. You get sugar spike followed by an insulin surge and then a crash. That's when fatigue, cravings, and irritability kicks in. And when this happens repeatedly, it sets the stage for insulin resistance, weight gain, and eventually type 2 diabetes. But what about honey? maple syrup, and agave. Well, now a lot of people say, but I don't eat refined sugar. I use natural sweeteners like honey or agave. Here's the truth. Your body doesn't care where the sugar came from. Honey, maple syrup, and agave still break down into glucose or fructose. They are still added sugar when used in recipes and packaged foods. Yes, they might have trace minerals, but the metabolic impact is almost identical to white sugar or corn syrup. Natural sugars exist within a protective food matrix. Fiber, water, enzymes, and phytonutrients. That matrix slows digestion, supports gut health, and prevents blood sugar chaos. Added sugars, on the other hand, are stripped of everything beneficial. They're isolated, concentrated, and designed to deliver a fast dopamine hit. Let's be clear, the natural sugar in a banana isn't your enemy. The sugar in your cereal bar, salad dressing, or sports drink, that's where the problem lies. Whole foods nourish, added sugars drain. Know the difference, but you will take a huge step toward protecting your metabolism, your brain, and your long-term health. Let's start with what happens right after you eat something sugary, like a muffin, a donut, or even a glass of orange juice. Your blood sugar rises rapidly, like a roller coaster shooting up. Your body responds by releasing insulin, hormones that shuttle sugar into your cells for energy. But when there's too much sugar, your insulin goes into overdrive, and suddenly your blood sugar crashes. That crash, it leaves you feeling tired, hungry again, craving more sugar, and the cycle repeats. This constant spike and crash roller coaster messes with your energy, mood, and focus all day long. Sugar doesn't just spike your blood sugar, it also scrambles your hunger signals. Here's how. Leptin is the hormone that tells your brain, I am full. But with high sugar intake, you can become leptin resistant, so your brain never gets the memo. Ghrelin is the hormone that makes you hungry. Sugar tends to elevate ghrelin, especially after a crash. The result? You feel hungry even when your body has enough fuel. This is why high sugar diets are closely linked to overeating and weight gain. Sugar doesn't just affect your energy and hormones, it also inflames your entire system. When you eat sugar, it triggers oxidative stress, damaging the cells, inflammatory cytokines, molecules that overactive your immune system. This kind of chronic low-grade inflammation is the foundation of almost every major chronic illnesses, including heart disease, type 2 diabetes, obesity, Alzheimer's, even some cancers. You can't see this inflammation, but you feel it over time as joint pain, brain fog, fatigue, and premature aging. So what do Alzheimer's, heart disease, and diabetes have in common? Chronic inflammation. Sugar is a major driver of that. Most people think only alcohol damages the liver. But guess what? Sugar, especially fructose, can be just as harmful. Fructose is a form of sugar found in high fructose corn syrup, agave, fruit juices. Unlike glucose, fructose is processed almost entirely in your liver. So when you consume too much, your liver converts it into fat. Over time, this leads to a condition called non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Now, one of the leading causes of liver dysfunction in the world, even in people who never drink alcohol. Sugar doesn't just affect your body, it hijacks your brain. It lights up your brain's reward system, triggering a surge of dopamine. the same brain chemical activated by addictive drugs like cocaine or nicotine. That dopamine hit gives you a rush of pleasure, followed by a steep crash and a craving for more. The more often this happens, the more your brain rewires itself to crave sugar. Not because you need energy, but because your reward system has been hijacked. In lab studies, rats chose sugar over cocaine, even when both were offered. One of the most dangerous effects of sugar is that it accelerates cellular aging. Here's how. Sugar binds to protein in your body, forming compounds called AGEs, which is advanced glycation end product. These AGEs harden blood vessels, stiffen collagen, leading to wrinkles and joint stiffness, damage organs and nerves. In short, sugar literally makes your body age faster from the inside out. It's not just about how old you are, it's about how fast your cells are wearing out. Sugar affects every major system in your body. It crashes your energy, scrambles your hormone, inflames your organs, damages your liver, hijacks your brain, and speeds up aging. That's high price to pay for a sweet moment. Let's talk about why sugar can feel irresistible even when we know it's not good for us. When you eat sugar, your brain releases dopamine, the neurotransmitter that says, this feels good. The dopamine rush happens in the brain's nucleus accumbens, the same reward center activated by drugs like cocaine, nicotine, and alcohol. But here's the problem. Once that dopamine fades, and it always fades, your body drops into a crash, and your brain, now used to the reward, starts shouting, give me that feeling again. So what do? You reach for another cookie or a soda or that seemingly healthy snack bar loaded with added sugar. This is how sugar sets up the desire loop. You don't just eat it for fuel, you crave it for comfort, escape, and stimulation. Here's what most people don't realize. Cutting sugar can cause withdrawal. And I mean real physical symptoms, not just cravings. When your brain doesn't get that dopamine hit it's used to, you might experience headache, mood swings, anxiety, low energy, brain fog, and intense irritability. This isn't a sign you're weak, it's a sign your brain is detoxing, rebalancing after being overstimulated for months or even years. So, sugar detox timeline, day 1 to 3, it's the worst symptoms. Day 4 through 7, mood fluctuations, fatigue. Day 8 through 14, energy stabilizes. And then week 3-4, cravings fade, brain clarity returns. If you can make it through the first 7 to 10 days, you are already on the other side. The cravings get weaker and your energy and mood get stronger. And if you are wondering, can sugar really be that addictive? Consider this what I just stated. If researchers gave rats a choice between cocaine or sugar water, the rats overwhelmingly chose sugar, even when already addicted to cocaine. Why? Because sugar lights up the reward system faster and more intensely than almost any other natural substance. So let's just let that sink in. Sugar, not just a treat, but a trigger that hijacks the brain's motivational circuitry. And these same studies show that repeated sugar exposure leads to tolerance, which means needing more to feel good, withdrawal symptoms when removed, compulsive behavior, even in the face of punishment. Sounds similar? That's the same pattern we see in addiction disorders. This is why cutting sugar feels hard, because it is. You're not just breaking a habit, you are rewiring your brain. But the good news, your brain is incredibly adaptive. After just a few weeks without sugar, your dopamine levels reset, your cravings fade. You start to feel balanced, stable, and in control again. And that's when the real healing begins. Not just for your brain, but for your whole body. Let's talk about one of sugar's most dangerous consequences, metabolic syndrome. It's not just one condition, it's a cluster of dysfunctions that often appears together. Belly fat that won't budge, chronically elevated blood sugar, high blood pressure, high triglyceride, and low levels of good HDL cholesterol. Why does this matter? Because metabolic syndrome doubles your risk of heart attack and stroke and increases your risk of type 2 diabetes 5 times. And sugar plays a staring role, especially added sugar and refined carbs. It drives up insulin, the hormone responsible for storing fat, particularly in the abdomen. Over time, your cells stop responding to insulin. That's called insulin resistance, and it's the tipping point into pre-diabetes and eventually full-blown diabetes. Metabolic syndromes affects up to 1 in 3 adults in the US, and most don't even know about they have it. Next up is your heart. For years, we blamed fat for heart disease, but new research is clear. Sugar is just as dangerous and often worse. Here's what happens. Excess sugar raises triglyceride, a type of fat in your blood that clogs arteries. It lowers protective HDL cholesterol. It promotes small, dense LDL particles, which are more likely to get stuck in artery walls. And worst of all, it fuels inflammation, the key trigger for plaque rupture and heart attacks. Your blood vessels aren't just pipes, they're living tissues, and sugar inflames them at the cellular level. This means that your morning muffin and that soda at lunch, they're not just spiking your energy, they may be slowly narrowing your arteries. Sugar's final and perhaps most surprising target, your brain. We have all experienced that post-sugar fog, when your mind feels sluggish, your memory slips, and focusing feels impossible. But the long-term effects are even more serious. Excess sugars leads to shrinks the hippocampus, the brain's memory center, disrupts insulin signaling in the brain, a condition now referred to as type 3 diabetes, promotes beta amyloid plaque accumulation linked to Alzheimer's. In fact, studies show that people with high sugar diet, especially those who consume sweetened beverages regularly, have significantly higher risk of dementia. Your brain runs on glucose, yes, but drowning it in sugar leads to inflammation, cell death, and premature cognitive decline. Sugar doesn't just affect your waistline, it rewires your metabolism, inflames your arteries, and accelerates your brain aging. It is not about short-term cravings anymore. It's about long-term consequences. But the moment you become aware of sugar's silent damage, you regain power. And remember, every spoonful you cut isn't just prevention, it's recovery. So how much sugar is actually too much? According to the American Heart Association, the safe upper limit is 25 grams per day for women, which is about 6 teaspoons, and 36 grams for men, about 9 teaspoons. But here's the kicker. Most Americans are consuming more than double that amount every single day. Women about 75 grams and men close to 90 grams. And teenagers, some consumes over 100 grams a day, thanks to soda, energy drinks, and ultra-processed snacks. What does that look like? A can of soda is equal to 39 grams. A bowl of healthy cereal, 15 to 20 grams. Flavored yogurt, another 15 grams. You can hit your daily limit before noon without even realizing it. Read the label. 4 grams of sugar equals 1 teaspoon of sugar. But that's not just the amount of sugar, it's the type of sugar that matters. And one form is especially harmful, fructose, particularly high fructose corn syrup, found in sodas, snack bars, juices, and salad dressings. High fructose corn syrup bypasses your body's natural energy regulation systems. It doesn't trigger insulin or satiety hormone the way glucose does. Instead, it goes straight to the liver where it's rapidly converted to fat. Too much fructose leads to fatty liver disease, insulin resistance, high triglycerides, and increased risk of heart disease. The scary part? Non-alcoholic fatty liver disease is one of the most common chronic liver conditions in the US, even in children, and added fructose is a major reason why. So yes, a little sugar won't kill you, but we're not talking about a teaspoon in your coffee. We're talking about an invisible overdose that happens daily, quietly pushing your body toward inflammation, disease, and dysfunction. Start reading labels, know your daily limit, and rethink what's really fueling your body. So how do you actually reduce sugar without feeling deprived or overwhelmed? Start here with strategic, practical swaps that protect your health without sacrificing satisfaction. Read the label. Sugar hides behind names like dextrose, maltodextrins, and rice syrup. If sugar in any form is in the top 3 ingredients, it's likely loaded. Skip the sugar drinks. Soda, juices, and even healthy smoothies are some of the fastest ways to spike your sugar intake. Switch to sparkling water, unsweetened tea, or lemon water. Eat more whole foods. When you build meals around real food, vegetables, fruits, proteins, healthy fats, your body stabilizes, craving drops, blood sugar evens out. It's a win-win. Step 4, swap sugar for flavor. Cinnamon, nutmeg, vanilla extract, citrus zest, these add natural sweetness and aroma without the blood sugar hits. Stay hydrated and fueled. Dehydration and low blood sugar both feel like sugar cravings. Drinking water and eating balanced meals can often eliminate the urge altogether. When in doubt, shop the perimeter of the grocery store. That's where the real food lives. There's something incredible. Your taste buds adapt, and they adapt faster than you think. When you stop overloading them with sugar, your taste buds become more sensitive to natural sweetness, like berries, apples, or even carrots. It takes about 2 to 3 weeks for this reset to happen. What happens behind the scene? Your brain starts to recalibrate its dopamine response. Your taste receptors turn over and regenerate, and you begin to appreciate flavors you couldn't taste before. Many people resort that after just a few weeks without added sugar. They no longer crave desserts. Coffee tastes fine without sugar. Fruit tastes shockingly sweet, and processed food tastes, well, too sweet. This is neuroplasticity at work. Your brain and body adapting to a better way of eating. Your taste buds aren't the problem. You just need time to heal. Cutting sugar isn't about willpower. It's about strategy, habit change, and giving your body time to adapt. Start with 1 or 2 of these steps. Keep going for 2 to 3 weeks and let your biology do the rest, because the less sugar you eat, the less you want to. So what happens when you quit sugar? In just 1 day, your blood sugar starts to stabilize. No more wild spikes and crashes, and with that, your cravings begin to ease. By 1 week, many people notice their energy levels rising, You are less tired in the afternoon. Your mood lifts and the fog in your brain starts to clear. At 1 month, the changes become truly visible. Your skin glows with renewed vitality. Your brain feels sharper and more focused. Belly fat begins to shrink as your insulin level normalizes. This timeline in your body healing, step by step, day by day. Here's the truth. Cutting sugar isn't about deprivation. It's about liberation. You're not giving up pleasure. You're gaining boundless energy, mental clarity that lasts all day, a stronger, healthier heart, a leaner, healthier body, and the promise of years of vibrant, disease-free living. This is freedom from cycle of highs, crashes, and cravings. You are reclaiming your health, one sweet free day at a time. The hardest part is starting. The rest is transformation. Sugar is sweet, but the consequences are not. The real enemy is not fat. It's refined added sugar. Reducing your intake is one of the most powerful steps you can take for longevity. Start small. Track your sugar for 1 week. Swap soda for water. Read every label. Your health, your future, your energy, they're all worth it. Thank you for joining me. If you have questions or want to learn more about how to reclaim your energy and optimize your health, stay connected. Let's thrive together. Thank you.
Please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe.